Hey guys, it's Salem. Hi guys, how are you? I hope you guys are doing really well. So on today's video, I am going to be talking about my social work journey and why I quit social work, why I also why I also am transitioning out of that. And the reason why the reason why I'm coming on here doing this is because I'm seeing a lot of people go into the social work field. And I'm not saying that we don't need social workers, we do. But this field is also, it's not for everyone, right? I went into this field because at the time in my life, I knew I always wanted to go back to school. I went back to school in 2018 after leaving school, probably in about I think I left school maybe 2013, 2014. I had left school. Like I just took a break. I didn't want to go. I don't know. I was just going through a lot of stuff and I felt like working at the time was much better than going to school. So I ended up leaving school and not going back to school until 2018. The reason why I went back to school and the reason why I became a social worker was because in 2015, I had lost a baby in 2015, and I was about 21, 22 years old, and I had a baby at 18 weeks. And my cervix could not hold him, so I went into labor at 18 weeks. My uterus, like my cervix, was not strong enough, and I ended up going to bereavement group after the loss of my first son, and in these bereavement groups, I really got close to the social workers. But then at this time in my life, I also started to see how much I've actually always been close to social workers. Even in high school, in middle school, in elementary school, I always was at the guidance counselor. I was always going there to talk. I was always going to seek assistance with someone in a school that I felt could help me at the time, right? With what I was going through. In elementary school and on to high school. So at the time, going through this bereavement and experiencing this tragedy, this grief, this trauma, I actually saw that, you know what, Sierra, why don't you help other women? Why don't you go to school for this and help other women? So I did not make the decision at the time in 2015 after losing my son to go do social work, It actually came years after having my other two sons, Azariah and Amir. And after having them two, I decided that, okay, you know what, I wanted to start building a life for us, building a life for me and them. And I had decided, you know what, I'm going to go back to school. I was working full time at Now. I think I had just gotten a job with the city in New York. And I said, you know what, I'm going to go back to school, get my degree, get my master's degree, and create a life. Because I'm thinking to myself, you know what, I got to provide for two boys. I knew I didn't want to be with their father at the time. We were together, but I knew that I didn't want to be with him. So I was basically planning to, like, okay, build a life for me and my kids at the same time. And that's another video that I actually want to do for women, especially women who experience domestic violence or who have experienced just horrible relationships. I think I buttoned this wrong. And who has experienced just horrible relationships. I'm going to do a second video about that. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I buttoned this wrong. I don't know. But yeah, so Okay, so fast forward, it's 2018. I'm back in school. I am back. I had started in community college, and then I knew that, okay, after this, I go get my bachelor's. Then I was like, okay, I didn't think about getting my master's until I actually entered into getting my bachelor's. And I knew that with a social work degree, you can't really go anywhere with a bachelor's, especially in New York City. So so I went back to school from 2018 to 2024. I took off one semester within that 5-year time, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Yeah, within that 5-6 year time, I took off one semester, which that's why I graduated when I graduated, but it actually worked out great in the way. And I took off one semester because I had gotten a job with the city, like I said, and I didn't know if what schedule I was going to get, and I wanted the 7 to 3 so I could still do my classes in the afternoon, because my school was literally right around the corner from my job office. So I took off a semester just to wait and see what was going to happen. And I actually ended up getting the shift 7 to 3 and went back to school that next spring semester and finished it up. So fast forward 2 years after that, I got my associate's degree. I got into my dream college that I wanted to go to. Because I went to CUNY school, so I got into Hunter College. That was where I wanted to go. I did want to go to NYU as well, but I did not want to spend the money. And actually, CUNY gave me. CUNY covered literally the only thing I had to pay for. CUNY covered everything for me, and having kids really helped with being able to go back to school. And that's exactly why I took advantage after having my kids to go back to school, because before going back to school, before having my kids, I had to pay for school. So I think I had paid the most in total. I think I had paid maybe $3,000, and after that I was like, nope, I'm not going back to school. It didn't make sense. Why am I paying for school? I didn't see a point in it. But after having my kids, you're in a different you're seen different. So I took advantage of it, and I went back to school, and CUNY literally paid for all of my schooling. The only thing I had to take out a loan for was my master's degree, and it wasn't even that much. Because I got scholarships as well while I was at Hunter College. I got work study, which I was so blessed, very, very blessed through the process of what I was going with. Especially, I'm coming out of a relationship. I'm going into my bachelor's and my master's degree. I have 2 kids I have to support. So all of this was a lot for me, but literally I was like, I just kept on going, moving forward, and God showed up for me. So now I graduate 2024 with my master's degree. I'm thinking, okay, my life is about to start. I get a chance to, social work is a very broad, you can do so many different things with your social work degree. And I had gotten a job down in here in Florida. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take it. It's at a school. I'm gonna do it. And I get here, and I'm beginning to, in the beginning it was really great. And then I saw that, okay, I want more. I wanted more. I just felt like I wasn't doing enough, or I wasn't, not even doing enough, but I was doing enough, but I just didn't feel enough. I didn't feel enough at this job. So I went looking for another job, and I got a job in behavioral health at a health clinic. And same thing. It just wasn't clicking with me. I don't know, like it just wasn't clicking with me. I'm just like, I've been working in this field for years. I've done internships, worked with professors, worked with all different types of people, worked with organizations, done all this work, and I'm not feeling fulfilled. why am I not feeling fulfilled? Why am I not happy? Why am I not feeling like I'm getting the opportunities that I want? So I'm like, okay, you know what? I don't want to do social work. And it came to me that I didn't want to do social work anymore. I didn't want to sit in front of somebody all day and hear about all of their issues. And I didn't want to, it just was very unhappy hearing so much trauma. And in 2023, I was in the middle of my class, in the middle of I think my clinical class. And I said to myself and out loud, I'm tired of talking about trauma. I'm ready to start healing. And right there, I would never forget those words coming out of my mouth. And right then and there, I knew 2023 that this is not what I wanted. I didn't want to do trauma anymore. But I kept pushing myself into it, because what does society say when you're growing up, when you're working? Society is saying, oh, find a job, graduate college, you find a job, get married, make a family, have a 401k, have this, have that. And I started to see that traditional life for me, that traditional way is not for me. I don't like that. I don't want to sit in the office all day and do paperwork, and I don't want to sit in the office all day and see clients. I don't want to do that. That was not what I wanted to do. And this job, the behavioral health job, I was crying I started to see myself crying at the school job. I was crying at the school job before I left there, and thinking that, you know what, I'm going to go into a different job and it'll be better. Maybe I'll feel more fulfilled. And leaving the school, I told myself, Sierra, find something different. Like this, that this is not what you want anymore, that this is not for you anymore. So find something different. But the only thing is, I'm also like, I have rent to pay and I have bills, and I'm also scared, like, okay, I can't have, I gotta have health insurance for me and my kids, because my kids are under my health insurance. I gotta have all of this stuff. So I'm just fighting myself. Like, okay, we have to do this. And by me fighting myself on this, I became more and more unhappy. I became more and more sad. I was still crying at work. I was still like, okay, why am I not feeling? What am I doing wrong? It wasn't that I was doing something wrong. It was that this is not aligned with who I am, no longer am anymore. And I had to come to that conclusion. And I lost my job, which was actually great in the same way too, because I didn't have to deal with it. I mean, I have the stress of, how am I going to pay for my rent? How am I going to pay for my bills? How am I going to survive, right? How am I going to get through this? So any money that I had in investments, any money that I had, I used that to, help me through this transition. So I've been out of work since February of this year, 2026, and I have not been back to work yet. I have not found the job for me, and I've been applying. So I am now pivoting out of traditional social work, therapy roles. That's no longer what I want to do. Especially like, I come on here, I really love coming on YouTube. I love making these videos. I love creating content. I love to help people. One thing I did see was how much I love psychology, how much I love studying the mind, how much I love those type of subjects, right? So that's something that stays with me. And I also had to look at myself and ask, okay, what do you really want to do? What do you see yourself doing? And having to sit down and ask myself these questions was really hard for me, because since a child, especially being raised in a household and the way that I was raised in the household, you know, this type of life is, you can't have this type of life. You can't not what you're going to not work. You're going to quit your job because you're crying, because you're unhappy. Like, you know, a lot of old heads, I'm gonna call them, would call you like, you know, they would call you weak. They would call you, you better suck it up, tell you gotta suck it up, you gotta do it. I had to do it, you gotta do it. And that's how that old mindset was instilled in me, that I never even created, because I never dreamt of having a regular job. I wanted to be an actress on freaking Broadway and, like, you know, acting. That's what I wanted to do my whole entire life. I wanted to be an actress. I was going to school in the beginning to be an actress, and I wanted to live this free life. I've always been this free-spirited person. I've always been this person that just, I need freedom. And for people who are like me, and for people who feel like I need to have control over my own career, my own life, then, you know, this is something you have to find. You have to ask yourself these questions, and you have to talk to yourself about these things, because what can you do, right, to still bring you in the life that you want, but also bring in the type of money that you want, because you got to make money to survive too, right? So I've been transitioning. I have been looking for different jobs in different sectors. So being a social worker, like I said, it's a very broad, it's wide range. I can basically do anything. But the thing is hard is the job market is where it's hard. And if you're not seen by someone who can actually see your skills and and you have to make your skills known, that these are transferable skills, that I can do A, B, and C. I can do D, E, F, G. I can, you know, you got to go through your alphabet and, you know that, okay, I can do this, right? So I was able to, so I'm still processing this transition, right? In the beginning, it was really hard. I was going really hard looking for jobs. And then it started to occur to me, like, I don't know I don't know. It's not working out. Why isn't it working out? And for someone like me, because I've always worked hard for everything that I have, right? So even when I'm seeing clients, even when I'm engaging with other people, I felt like I have to work hard for this. I have to, work very hard for this. And I'm starting to look at myself and see that I keep putting other people first, right? I'm putting other people first. I'm putting clients before me. I'm putting jobs before me. I'm putting all of these things before my mental health, before my health. And I know for some people, when I'm saying like, oh yeah, I quit my job and I've been out of work for 4 months, they're probably like, oh my God, like, how are you surviving? But I don't even know how I'm surviving, honestly. Like right now, I am going through some hardship right now, but I am also doing what I have to do to make it work. And, spiritually, I feel like when you are a spiritual being, your life is very much different from earthly people, from people who don't have the same beliefs as you. And that's all that I'm gonna say on that. But I felt like quitting social work, not doing this anymore, is one of the best things that I can do for myself. And I don't even have to fully quit it, but limit myself from that type of work. limit myself. And if you see a lot of people who have, I don't have my LCSW. I don't honestly plan on getting one. I don't want one. I don't want to take the exam. And the only reason why I would get one is if I want to keep a traditional job, just for the background of it. If I want to keep a traditional job and have that type of cash flow, have that type of security, which I kind of want, but not from a LCSW, not from a clinician side, not from a provider side, more from in a different environment, in a different pivot, in a different aspect, industry is the word I'm looking for. So that is what I'm moving towards, right? I'm moving towards a different industry, maybe going back to school, maybe seeing what else I can do out here that I feel like I can still use for my advantage and move in that direction. But I see a lot of people who, first of all, social workers do not want a traditional social work life. A lot of us go into these spaces and places because we can work telehealth, we can work from home. That was something that I wanted to seek out, and these places they don't allow you. They want you in person. They want, all that corporate bullshit. And I don't want to be a part of that. I just don't. I want to have freedom, and I want to know that my job trusts me enough to do my work and do this, and not being able to have that, and some people always want to control you and how you do things. And, that don't rock with me. No, I'm a rebel. Like, I can't, it's like, no, that doesn't rock with me. So, I see a lot of social workers, LCSWs, LMSWs. I am in Florida, so they call them something else down here. They call them registered clinical social worker interns. I see so many of us leave jobs because they are not truly what we want. And I see that a lot in the social work community. I see a lot of people, they get into this field, and just like how I did, having all of these big, beautiful dreams and thinking that it's going to go in this direction, when really it's not. It's not glamorous. It's really taxing, emotionally taxing. And I don't even think people understand. And what's so funny is that your clients are going to say, I don't know how you do this job. You must have it. I don't know how you do this job. That is what it is. It is only a job. It is not purpose anymore. I used to think that this was my purpose, that this was all that I could do, that this is what I have to do. I have to do this. No, I do not have to do this. I can do what I want to do. I can do what my life calls and that day to do. And the best thing that I could have done was do this. Even though I am going through hardship, even though I'm going through my own personal things when it comes to the financial part, but it does not mean that I have to completely give up on my dreams just because, my bank account is not looking like. And like I said, for me, going through this process almost felt as if I was a failure. I felt like a failure. I felt like I'm failing myself. Why can I not just get into a job and just stay there? And be good there. Why can I not find that? Why can I not find that stability? And it's because my body is not meant to be there. It is not aligned. Right? And this is why finding alignment in your workplace, in your environment, in your home, with the people who you want around you is so important, because you are going to face you're going to face this friction within yourself throughout the process and throughout you experiencing this, you're going to face it, because it's not aligned with who you really are and what you want deep down in your soul. And I had to come to terms with, I don't want a traditional job. And me and a colleague, we actually had this conversation a couple of weeks ago, and he was like, let's really come out and say it. You don't want a job. You don't want to work. You want to get paid for what you just want to get paid for what you do and what you do best at. And you want to just get paid for your talent. And you can do that. People do it every single day, right? People come on here and do it every single day. And to have this conversation with a doctor, a PA, like somebody who is literally like, and in their field, high in their field, is a speaker, gets paid to speak, get paid to do all of these huge, big things, to hear them say that. And it hit me that, and in this moment also too, I felt like, because when I'm in this role, right, I felt like, oh my God, I have to be so professional. I have to put on this mask. I can't show up as the Black girl that I am. I gotta show up with, what do you call it when you code switch? I gotta code switch for them, and I don't want to do that. No. I want to show up as me in a space that is meant for me, in an environment that is meant for me. And yesterday, I was reading this quote on LinkedIn, and it's by Ava. I cannot say her name. She did the Central Park 5 documentary. She's the big big director, Black director, and she has locks. And a quote that I read was that she was saying, like, I didn't fit at the tables, so she created her own. And if you don't fit into something, create your own space, create your own title, create your own job, create your own. And I'm not saying go and quit your job, because it is hard if you do that, and especially you don't know when the next one is coming. I'm not telling anybody to do that, but what I am saying is take a chance on yourself and see where it leads you. See, by you giving yourself this title, right? You're giving yourself this job. Start small. And Salem Wellness Portal has not just come out of nowhere. I've been planning Salem Wellness Portal since I was in undergrad, since my first year at Hunter College in 2021. 2021, yeah, because we went back in, like, I've been planning since then. So this is a business, and it's in a making. I've been creating for years, and now I'm just like, it's time for her to be launched. It's time for her to expand. It's time for her to see something bigger than, what is just inside my head. And I'm going through that, and, slowly by slowly, I was able to, okay, what do I want to do? Where do I see myself? Like, I'm great with people. I love working with people, but I don't want to take on their emotional baggage. I don't want, and especially me being an empath, I'm very spiritual. I'm noticing that empaths, we have to protect our energy so much, because people drain us very quickly. So having to protect that put up that boundary on how much clients, if you are a social worker and you are an empath, you need to put up a boundary. How many clients you see, you need to negotiate that you can work from home, that you can have days, that you can have telehealth days, that you don't have to go into the office every day. Like, these are things that we have to negotiate into our contract before signing anything, because you're not going to stay there long. You're going to burn out. I burnt out at this job. Literally, I wasn't even there for 3 months, and I was burnt out. burned out. And it was just like, it was like more criticism than it was praise. Like, they're not sitting in the room with me as me and this client is having a breakthrough, you know, but they're ridiculing me for notes, and they're ridiculing, and I get that documentation matters. And I think that's also too another thing. The ethical bullshit that comes with social work. It's just it's just ethical bullshit, you know? It's just bullshit. And it's just like, it's stupid. Like, you know, why do I have to put that this person is in this location? They're telehealth, let them be telehealth. Why does it matter? And I think this is about why when you have your own private practice, you get to make your own rules. When you have your own, or when you make your own table, whatever that table may be, doesn't have to be private practice. It can be you being an artist and how you own an art studio, and you know, you want artists to come and draw or whatever. I don't know, like something, like it can be whatever that your table is for you, whatever you're building for you that you title. Maybe you're alone, maybe you have maybe you have a team, maybe you have employees, right? You have people who work for you, all of these different things. But I just feel like social work is it's just not for me anymore. It's just not. And and this is a part of life, right? We outgrow things. Did I think that I was going to outgrow it this fast? No. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to just get my LCSW and I'm going to go do whatever I want to do. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I will eventually do that. Maybe I won't. But right now in my life, I just don't feel this is the path for me. And I don't know what the path is for me, honestly. I don't know. I'm still watching it as it unfolds, but I know that I am going towards what makes my heart feels good, what makes me feel good, and if I can find a place that puts even money in my pocket, then that's great too. But if not, then I'm just gonna continue to do what my heart feels. And this is for people who I see so many people graduating from college, and so many people, still going to school, like people, and I guess all of us in a way, it's some type of accomplishment for us to have that degree, right? To have that, to say that, oh, we did it. It's some type of accomplishment as people, because this has been a part of a societal thing for so long. But when you really notice it, is that I wouldn't recommend people go to school. I would recommend, I would recommend people go to school, because I do feel that just getting an education, just learning in general, is a good thing. I would say it more from the experience, because you're learning from other people, right? You're learning from people who have excelled in their field or who have been where you are. So I would say go to school, but I would say choose wisely what you are going to school for. You want to choose something, like, I'm not gonna lie, I wish I had went into tech. I wish I had went into learning something completely different than what I'm doing now. But me going into social work taught me so much. I wouldn't be the woman that I am today without the last 5-6 years that I've invested in this career, into this industry. I wouldn't be this girl. I wouldn't have learned about my self-awareness. I wouldn't have learned about healing. I wouldn't have learned about how much my childhood beliefs and values and everything that I've known influenced so much of who I am today and how I've ended up in certain relations. I would have never learned about relationships. I would have never learned about communication. I would have never learned about any of these things if I did not go into this field. So actually going into it had a blessing because I became the woman that I always wanted to be, be self-aware, to know right from wrong, to have that, to gain the wisdom. I've learned that, and I'm not perfect at it, but I'm learning as I continue to go. I do not have this all right. I wish I did, but I'm continuing to learn, and I'm seeing that, oh, well, if I make this choice different, then it leads me to a better life, right? And that's what I've learned. And I've learned about me and about how to raise my children and how to actually hold and have a life that's for me, but also be a mother, be a wife, be more than just what I am, how to hold myself, but also how to hold others, but also put myself first, but also prioritize the important things in my life, So all of these things I've learned through social work. So last night, I was crying my eyes out because I felt like I feel like such a failure. I felt the failure rise up in me, and I went to take out the garbage, and tears just fell down my eyes because I feel like a failure. I do. I can honestly say that I feel like a failure. I feel like, why am I not getting this thing right? Why am I not getting it right so much? And I'm coming to terms with that. It's just not the path that I'm meant to be on. It's just not where I'm meant to be. So I have to let it go, and I have to, see, where does this path lead? Where am I going every day that the path does lead, that I keep showing up for, right? What do I keep showing up for? I show up for myself. I show up for, right now, that's the biggest thing. I'm showing up for myself. And being able to do that, and and that's just it. But if you are thinking about becoming a social worker, please make sure that this is something that you want to do. Make sure that a lot of people ask me, I've even had kids in high school ask me, because I worked at the high school, how do you feel? Like, I want to do that. And I tell them, think long and hard before you just go into doing things. Like, look at life, look at what are your long-term goals and what is a short-term goal, because I did not think that social work was going to be a short-term goal. And I guess in a way it isn't a short-term goal, it's a long-term goal, because I'm using my skills in social work to create content to put out for people, right? I'm on here, we talk about a lot of spiritual things, and I call myself the spiritual social worker because I'm not traditional. I'm not the girl that wants to use CBT and DBT, and I use science, I use spirituality, I use what is your heart, deep inside your heart is telling you. I go deep inside of the spirit and really help people analyze and also see where they're not happy, and because by you listening to a person talk, right? If Susie is telling me, well, me and my boyfriend is fighting every night, he's not communicating with me, we're not talking as much anymore, and it's leading to all of these fights. Well, okay, what are you you have to dissect. What are you fighting about? Oh, we're fighting about communicating because he doesn't want to communicate, but I want to communicate. Okay, well, he doesn't want to communicate. Why doesn't he want to communicate? What is something he's going through something if he doesn't want to communicate, right? And sometimes as women, we have to even, and sometimes as women and men, because this is a two side of the coin, right? You have some men who deal with, like, some women, I mean, who deal with, you have some men who are married to insecure women who don't feel very proud of themselves. And I have women that come to me and say, like, well, I feel really insecure. I feel like I can't talk to my boyfriend, and it's because of your insecurities that you feel like that. So it makes you feel like you're unsafe. But your boyfriend or your husband, you're married to this person, you're with this person, they chose you, right? They're there for you. Why do you feel like you can't? Well, it's stemming from a wound that you had from childhood. While growing up, I wasn't able to I wasn't able to speak up for myself, or my father always shut me down, or my mother always shut me up, or something such as that. So you grew up feeling insecure about speaking up for yourself because someone always shut you down. And if someone is always shutting you down, of course you're not going to speak up for yourself, because you feel like if you speak up for yourself, someone's going to shut you down. So what do? So you tell your boyfriend about these insecurities. You tell them that, listen, this is what happened to me when I was younger. I don't want us to communicate. I want to be able to communicate to you, and I feel safe enough that you won't shut me up or shut me down when I'm telling you something, or you shut down, right? All of these different things you have to, like, I process with people in sessions, and I love doing this, but just not on other people's time. I want to do it on my time, and and it's just yeah, like I want to be able to have this type of do this type of work still, but on a different type of time, in different ways, and just differently, and it's just, yeah, like, society really puts a lot of their beliefs on you, and you really have to, it's okay to be unconventional. I'm learning that, like, okay, I am very unconventional, that the same things that people want for me, I do not want for myself. My growing up, like I said, if I ever complained that, like, if I ever said I'm quitting my job and I'm going to do something totally else, or, I'm going to go backpacking through Arizona or something, the world would look at you and think that you're crazy. You're crazy. What do you mean you're gonna quit your job? Oh my God, I was reading this blog, and this lady, she had put up, she quit her job. Well, she retired. She retired, and she's going off to become a pilot because that's what her dream is. Like, we have to stop putting our dreams on hold for just because we have life. Life is still gonna do what you want, and you might as well do it. You might as well do it your way. Yeah, you might as well do it your way. But that's what I have for you. Like I said, like, and you may feel like a failure. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like such a fucking failure. But I'm being also compassionate with myself, and I'm telling myself, well, like, you feel like a failure. Why? Why do you feel like a failure? Because my money is not where I want it to be. I don't know how I'm going to pay this bill. I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen, and I feel like, damn, if I had just gotten it right, if I had just stayed on the path, where would it have taken me? I'm not even going to lie to you guys, I probably would be dead right now. I probably would have killed myself. Like, do I still kind of sometimes want to kill myself? Of course, that's just a part of life. Like, especially when you're going through hard things. But You know, it hits different when you're not gonna, it hits different when you're in a different environment. It hits different. But yeah, that's what I have for you guys. If you have any questions for me about social work, about getting your license, about seeing about the experience of social work, like I said, going to school for it was it was the best thing I could have ever do. But this is just not a career that I see myself doing this is just not what I see myself doing long term. Not in the traditional way, no. In my own way, yes. And I think that's what we are meant to do. I think we are all meant to do things in our own way, and do it as long as it's good, as long as you're doing it in the least harm to someone else, right? You always want to do things in the least harm. That's something that I've learned in social work, because guess what? You deal with people who are in severe trauma. And if you too are experiencing any type of mental health issues and experiencing anything like that, you want to take care of yourself in the least harm as well. And the least harm for me was choosing not to do this anymore, and was being able to thank God that job did that job did go, that the job is not there anymore, because it would have harmed me more mentally than it's doing financially, because I wouldn't be here. I can tell you that right now. I would not be here if I wouldn't be here. Yeah. And even though some days I still contemplate on if I do want to be here, because it's just sometimes so hard. But, I write it out and see. I'm just, I have this thing where I feel like the day that I was to actually, and I think I'm bringing up suicide because, and I'm sorry if this is a touchy subject for anyone, but the reason why I'm bringing this up as well is because in 2024, I wrote a letter and I put it in my calendar that I was going to kill myself. And I wrote a letter to my kids, and I read that yesterday. I saw it, and I was contemplating on, okay, do I want to do this again? Do I want to try again? Do I want to follow through with what I didn't follow through before? And the reason why I didn't follow through with it before was because I found a message in my phone that gave me a little bit of hope, and it arrived on my birthday. I was going to kill myself maybe, I think, a week after my birthday, and I found a message in my phone. I found something had happened, and I don't usually, at this time I wasn't really going on social media, but I found a social media post. I found the message, and this person doesn't even know. I never even told this person that they kind of saved my life in a way. And I found that message, and I don't know, I didn't go through with it. But yeah, but I don't know. It's been coming up a lot these last couple of days because I've been going through a lot of hard things. But I'm still here. I'm still continuing to show up. I don't know what would happen. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now, and I'm okay with it. And I have a smile on my face because also too, at the same time, it's like I'm sharing something that I don't really share with people, in my deep thoughts. And I think for me, like, I'm really great with death. I don't know why, but I'm really great with death. Like, other people react to death very differently than I react to death. And I think it's because I've kind of been into death since I was a little girl. Like, it's always been, death has always been something that I don't know. I like death in a way. And I know that sounds weird, but I don't have a lot of people who has passed away in my life. I don't. The only people I really have is my grandparents. Oh, I have my son too. But that's really it. But I don't know. It doesn't feel like they're gone to me. It doesn't feel like that. I feel like they're here. Even my son, like, I feel like they're here. But yeah. I don't know why I'm starting to talk about death now. Let me get off of here before I freak you guys out. But yeah, so that's where I'm at right now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, like I said, you can comment them below, or you can email me at salemwellnessportal at gmail.com. And yeah, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.